Alright, here we are. I believe we're all set. Welcome to another exciting game in my Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition multiplayer journey. We're going to get started. So, we've got a game on Hideout. I am, once again, my beloved Indians, which I'll talk about a little more in a moment. And we're facing off against the Goths, who, of course, got a recent buff. My opponent is in the red, Z-Palm. I am in the blue, of course, Pastor Joe. So, playing Indians again, we're going to go for the pretty basic strategy, once again, that I've been going with, of the fast castle into Camels. And I was planning on trying to do a different strategy in this game, just because I've done the Camels in several other videos now, so I thought it would be interesting to try something else. I actually kind of wanted to try out the... so Vietnamese got a new bonus where none of their eco technologies cost wood. And obviously, they've already got pretty good archers with their... so if we go and look at the... We can just bring it up here. So Vietnamese. So their archery range units all had plus 20 HP. And then also, obviously, now the economic upgrades do not cost wood. So because of that, hypothetically, they should be a pretty good archer rush civilization. So I actually did some practice against the AI on some archer builds, build orders to go into archers and that kind of thing. Hoping that I would use that, and just to, partially because I think it looks like it will be fun, and also because I figured it would be something that would shake things up a little bit for these videos. But then we got Hideout, and, you can bust into someone's base with archers when it's just palisade walls. But I just kind of decided that the Indians, with the Camels that get the bonus damage against buildings, which means that you can break through the walls really easily with Camels, I just decided that it was too good of an opportunity to try the Indians again. So, in the end, I don't feel too bad about it, just because, so I'm a newer player to the multiplayer, and when you listen to really high-level players give advice to, what's the best way to get started, they almost always say, try to pick one civilization and really learn them well. And we're kind of doing that with Indians. So I don't feel too bad about consistently playing Indians. But just so you know, I did want to play Vietnamese. I think I'll get a Vietnamese going pretty soon. So, anyways, pretty good start so far. Very clean. We're coming out here to lure my boar. I very nearly lose this villager when he comes back in, but we do dodge that, fortunately. So once again, we're going for the teching up on 28 population and going into Castle Age almost right away at 30 population then, and getting Camels once we get there. And then my opponent, so there's the game that I lost on Arena against a Persian player when I was the Goths, and that guy was quite good, but I think that this is probably my opponent here, Z-Palm, he is at least as good as that guy was, and possibly better. So I was mostly pretty impressed with his performance in this game, which is nice, because we had a couple of games at the start where, so he's going to also go fast castle, which I'll talk about in a second, but I like that I've won the majority of my games so far, but it's been a little bit disappointing that a couple of the games have been really, really easy and not that challenging, actually. It really seems like all that I had to do to beat the person was get my build order right and just send a few camels at them, and it was really that simple. So, yeah, so I kind of like the idea of, facing better players that I have to do more. Because then things start to get interesting and exciting. So I'm glad about that. So anyways, my opponent is the Goths, and when he was the Goths, I saw that they were the Goths, I was actually pretty worried at the start, because so they get their new bonus is their cheaper infantry is 35% cheaper, but it starts now at the start of the game. It used to only start in feudal age that they got cheaper. Now they are right away, which means that they potentially have a really good Dark Age rush, a drush with militia. And obviously with the fast castle build, I really don't want to build any military. Now I do typically build a barracks on my way up to feudal age, but I really don't typically build any military until I get my camels ready to go. So I was a little bit stressed about the potential for a drush to happen, but he did not go for that. He's going to go for Fast Castle. He goes for a little bit of a different one than I do. As you can see, he doesn't have any on gold yet, and he's not going to put any on gold until he, well, there's a mining camp, I guess. He's not going to put, he's only going to have one on gold until he's already into Feudal Age, I believe, which is a little different, but he does get some on later. So he pretty much is going for the exact same build as me, just his Fast Castle, because he's Goths, he's going to go for infantry instead. One other thing of note here is, just for fun, after I got my initial inside the wall scouted, I actually turned on the auto scouting just to see how it would do, so you can see what it's done. Not terrible. I should have used it myself to scout out this area on my own first, because as you can see, my second boar is right there, and I don't see it. So I actually did not, I'm actually not going to be able to take that boar. I have seen that the deer are right here, because occasionally one of them has wandered into this. So once this last sheep is taken, I'm just going to send 4 villagers out here and build a mill and go after the sheep there, in order to make up for the fact that I didn't get a boar. But I figured, you know, on this map, because it's Hideout, I pretty much know that my opponent is going to be over here, just because Hideout is very predictable with the way that the opponents are split up. So I'm not too worried about it. So I decided I'd give it a try. I think with the auto scouting, I might actually use it some, but I definitely am going to want it. So once again, we're going to have these guys come out here and build a mill, and we'll hunt the deer there. I definitely am going to want to scout around my initial base more. But then after you get the important stuff down, I think that I could see the appeal of just pressing a button and having it go, and then I don't need to worry about it anymore. Clearly, it is not as effective as if you do it yourself, if you're able to manage it, but I still sometimes, as we've seen in other videos, I've struggled to keep my scout moving as the game goes on, so not the worst thing. But just so you know, so if you're ever curious about how the auto scout does, here's an example for you. So as you can see here, he's actually run inside of my base with his scout, and he has an opportunity to leave, but that's going to be his last opportunity. Obviously, I haven't hit that yet. So, on one hand, he does get to see in my base here, obviously, but he's going to actually get caught over here, and I actually thought this was quite clever of myself. Since my scout happened to be over here, I'm going to send him inside. He's going to run his scout down here. I send these 2 villagers back to drop off the food just in case some shenanigans happen. And we come over here and we're going to just go after his scout. He does manage to get out of there. I don't know why he wasn't trapped, but he's taken over half of his hit points off, so I send my villagers back to pick more berries and just send my scout after him. We're going to hunt him down and kill him, and obviously now he can't go anywhere. So you can see my feudal age time is a little bit better than his, but not by a ton. And then he dies right up here. He just kind of gets stuck there. And there he goes. So, he's now down his scout, which he did not get a lot of the sides scouted here. One thing with this map generation that was a little bit goofy, all of the extra gold, first off, is going to be on this side of the map. So, I've got 2. One of mine is on the outside of my wall, which is fairly normal. He has the same thing. But then the extra golds, one is out here, and then one is out here. So there's really not much use to this side of the map. And I think I saw this at this point. Oh, I guess I saw that there's not a lot of use over here. So I knew from a pretty early spot, and I did actually turn the auto scouting back on, just because, once again, I just wanted to see how it would go. So, yeah. So I saw that pretty early on, so I decided that I wanted to make my aggression to this side, because I figured that that's where the resources are going to be. And so, if the aggression is going to be somewhere, may as well go somewhere where I can take advantage of resources, or at least deny my opponent some resources. But, anyways, once again, I'm already on my way up to Castle Age, so very smooth start. If you didn't see it earlier, I don't think that we did. I did briefly get housed, but I saw it pretty much right away. And I just researched Loom while I built the house, so I didn't really have any meaningful downtime for my TC. So, overall, pretty good start. But once again, you look at my opponent. Oh, we switch that over, we'll turn the score on. Forgot to do that. He's right behind me in population. He's now on his way up to Castle Age as well once he got to the 30 population. One thing that is a little bit funny, he lost his scout, so he actually has one more. Oh, I guess he has the same number of villagers as me? Oh, I forgot to switch over. Yeah, so once he got to the 29 villagers, he teched up. So he's pretty much going on the exact same strategy as me. One thing that I'm a little uncertain of for him, so obviously I'm going to be creating camels as soon as I get up. I'm getting some upgrades, as you can see. He's getting his eco upgrades as he goes up, so he knows what he's doing. This is not a case of, you know, some of the past games where my opponent just hasn't gotten any upgrades for their stuff or anything like that. He knows his build order, he knows what he's doing, even though he didn't have them on it earlier, so he had to wait. His castle time was actually delayed because he only had 1 on gold. He now has 3. The only thing in his build order that I question is why he didn't build a barracks already. He's going to fairly shortly, but you know, he's Goths, so he probably knows, and if you saw the upgrades he gets, there's a couple barracks. He knew he was going infantry. There he goes. He's got him queued up at the blacksmith. You know, he had enough wood, so I don't know why he didn't build at least a barracks earlier, even if he doesn't want to take advantage of the Gothic Drush, which I think he should have, quite frankly, because by most accounts that's really powerful right now. But even if you don't want to do that, at the very least you can get yourself upgraded to man-at-arms and get, you know, tracking or anything else from the barracks that you might want. So that's really the only thing that I would question about his build order. Other than that, pretty good job on his build order. Once again, real competence. So, I'm in Castle Age, obviously, and I am picking up... I'm building my camels right now, and also starting to work on picking up my upgrades. And I also built a monastery, and I'm going to produce monks because I see that there are relics here and here, which are right nearby, so I figure I better pick those up. That'll give me an advantage. So, we get our 6 camels, and we're going to move on out. Fortunately, my scout is over here anyways. If we look at the fog of war, because the auto sky is going to turn off, so the auto scouting, even though it's not terribly efficient, it did get pretty much the entire map explored for me. So, you know, I would definitely do your own scouting at least at first, but after you get your area done, not the worst idea to do the auto scouting. But now I have my scout join up with my camels, and we're going to be ready to move in here. I'm not sure why he put some houses outside of here either, to be honest, but that's okay. So like this right here, this is why I'm saying if he just put a barracks in earlier, he could have had man-at-arms in much earlier. Could have potentially started producing a little sooner, but whatever. So, we come up here, we're just going to attack the palisade walls. With our bonus against buildings, that's going to be easy work. We're going to come right in. He does make an attempt to wall this off here with a house, but gives up on that pretty quickly. And we're going to dive right on his gold, which that's pretty unfortunate that his gold was right there. He maybe should have made more of an attempt to defend it, but we push him off his gold pretty much right away, which is fortunate for me. And that's going to be an issue for him. The fact that his gold is here and here, and the only other golds are out here, that's going to be an issue for him. As you can see, he has already put down a second town center, which is good. I do not yet have a second town center. Oh, I actually do. I thought I did. But yeah, so we're inside. We look at my fog of war. I don't know for sure where he is, but we're out. We're going to go look for his wood line, look for anything else. But my opponent, so oftentimes I've talked about, you know, produce stuff, guys. Right away, he's producing spearmen. You look at the queue, he's got 4 spearmen queued up in either one. He's got upgrades on them as well. There, as you can see. So, we come over, I figure he immediately walled in his wood lines, another smart play. I'm trying to break through, but he is repairing it. So he's going to keep me out of this wood line. I wasn't too worried about that since these villagers are have all gone idle in order to keep that repaired. So I figured that was enough, but this does give him time to build up spearman numbers. And of course, I have housed myself again. And I actually, when I go back to get myself more houses, I have come up to build a Ford Siege workshop, but his spearmen come over, I don't react very quickly, I take some unnecessary hits, lose some guys, but he now has some pretty significant spearmen numbers. And once again, they do have upgrades, so, you know, there's still spearmen, not pikemen, so if I get enough numbers, I can fight that, but I've just got 5 camels, some of them are damaged, the 1 is damaged, and a scout, so I really can't fight those numbers. Possible I made a mistake when I first came in, I maybe should have just stuck by his barracks and, killed his spearmen as they came out one by one, but I didn't. Instead, I searched for his eco. So, really nice response by him. He walled in his eco, and he went for spearmen. This is a mistake by him, though. So, he sends out a few spearmen, and I know that I've got to fight this. I've got a building up here, and I start to build another stable so I can just keep up numbers. Because for now, until he gets the pikeman upgrade, even though I'm not doing, it's not a smart take economically, resource-wise, I'm not coming out ahead. As long as I keep up some numbers in camels, I can keep them off. But he had enough spearmen, so that's 5 more. Plus, he's producing more at his barracks. And if we look at his resources here, he's got plenty of resources to continue producing them. So if he had kept on me, I think he could have pushed this all back, and I wouldn't have really been able to stop it, but he takes his foot off the gas, so now I'm going to be able to produce more camels. And once again, for now at least, I've got, as long as I keep up some numbers, I can fend him off. Instead, he decides to fall back and re-wall up. So you see here, I'm putting down an archery range, because I know that he's producing lots of spearmen, and since he is, of course, the Goths, he can produce them quickly and cheaply. So I figure we're going to put down some archery ranges, and try and do what, in archery range for now. Basically, I want to try and do what happened to me when I played as Goths, where, if he comes out with his spears, we're going to just shoot them. I should have probably at this point been more patient. Instead, once I get a few more camels, we're going to send these rams in and try and finish him off. But it's not going to be so easy in this one, because this guy is going to continue to produce spears. He's not at this very moment. He should have. Another issue for him is he's at 75 pop cap for his house limit right now. He's not going to build enough houses, and he's going to get stuck at like 115. But I think to myself, what if we just try a mangonel right now? And this is actually going to be pretty clever of myself, if I say so myself. We're going to move the mangonel up a little further and go after these villagers on the gold and push them off of his gold once again. Which, smart decision by myself, if I say so myself. So we're building more stables to try and help keep our camel numbers up. But a chance for me to do something very good here, because obviously, oops, I did not mean to put that onto double speed. So we're through the wall. He's sending pikemen out here. With him in this group, this is lower level, so it's not like he's going to go into a split or something. If I had seen this, I could have done some major damage to them with the mangonel. Instead, I don't. They're going to kill the mangonel, and then without the mangonel, and I've got one crossbow. Producing crossbows out of a single archery range there to help a little bit, but that means that we're going to have some tough fights. Also, another mistake here, my rams go after this mining camp. I should have, and then I end up just sending them straight to the town center. I should have sent the rams straight after this other barracks to try and get rid of his production. He's going to try and drop a castle here. So that's another issue. Also, by the way, you may have noticed that I picked up this relic. I totally forgot about it, and I don't bring it back forever. So this is another lesson I need to get myself learning. When I get this initial busted and I kill the opponent's military initially, I need to dive further in. Like, this castle is right here. There's nothing in the town center. I absolutely could have dove in, denied this castle, and I could have ended the game right there. There's no question about that. But he gets the castle up. That's going to put a crimp in my style. Also, there's a gap here. I could have easily dove in on either one of these wood lines at this point. Instead, I have my camels sticking around, attacking the barracks. Well, attacking the barracks is fine, but attacking some houses, some other stuff. Yeah, so I also end up here, which ends up being a big mistake. I'm building a castle with one villager, which isn't very smart, but I figure I've got enough pressure on my opponent. I kind of got a little overconfident here, honestly. I figure I've got enough pressure on him that he's not going to build anything to come out here. And I actually am going to set the waypoint for this siege workshop just on the castle. And just start producing camels. And not camels. I'm producing camels. And just start producing siege rams. Not siege rams. They're just rams. So once again, I'm attacking his blacksmith instead of just trying to get at his villagers or coming down here. Also, if you didn't notice, he only is just getting these barracks up, so if I dove further in, I could have denied this castle, I could have stopped these barracks from going up, I could have really messed with his economy in a big way, and instead I decided to let them attack a house and a blacksmith. So one good thing, there is a gap there. I finally realized that, so I dive in and I'm going to kill all those villagers. But as you can see, I'm just sending in rams with the gather point there, and I don't even realize that they're just getting killed by his villagers. So like here, those villagers are so far away, I should have my camels. Once again, they're attacking the lumber camp and the blacksmith and the market. Instead of being over here, I could have gotten some villager kills, defended the rams. Instead, the rams are just gonna keep going in and dying. And once again, rams are expensive, so a lot of resources being wasted by myself here. And I don't even realize that he's got all of this up at this point. I believe this is just a glitch when you're spectating. I could not see that on the actual game. So really pretty colossal mismanagement by myself. So there's a gap there. These camels could be in on this, killing that wood line. You know, they could be over here picking off guys one by one. Instead, I'm just throwing away rams, throwing away some camels here, so that I can attack a blacksmith, a market, and some farms. And this is going to allow him to get his numbers back up, because he does not stop producing. And because I destroyed his blacksmith, he is not going to build another one to continue to upgrade these guys, but they have their basic upgrades. So now I kind of realize, oh, this is a screw up, so I turn my rams around, I come back to my castle, figure that's going to be enough to defend me from the pikemen, which it is, but I forget about these camels, and I'm going to lose, I think that's 3, 4, and then this one is going to be 5. So I'm going to lose 5 camels for no reason. Fortunately, that one does take a villager before he goes. So, yeah, lose 5 more camels for no reason. I think that was like 4 or 5 rams that I lost just because I wasn't paying close enough attention. So, overall, not a good situation for me there, because if I played that better, that should have been the end of the game right there. Instead, I waste a bunch of resources, and he has gotten a chance to to reboom a little bit. Reboom might be a strong term, but he is building another town center out here. He's got some decent food eco. You look at his resources. He's using them. He's producing a lot. Once again, you see, so he's only got 80 houses, or enough houses for 80 population. He put some more down here, but he's going to have an issue keeping up his population because of his houses. So I guess, you know, I attacked a couple of houses, so good for me on that, I guess. But so yeah, pretty colossal misplay by me there. And so at this point, you can see I just clicked up to Imperial Age. So I've decided, alright, he's got a castle down, he's got a bunch of pikemen, so we're going to go for basically the Indian late game death ball. Which is, and once again, another smart move by him. He's coming out here to try and get on that gold again. He knows he needs it. But in a moment, I'm going to put down a couple more archery ranges. We're going to get a university over here to research chemistry. We're going to go for the trebuchets, plus for camels, trebuchets, and some hand cannoneers. And until I'm in Imperial Age, I'm going to produce some crossbows for now, just to continue to try and help against the pikemen and what I'm assuming is going to be halberdiers soon. He doesn't really have enough resources to really hope to get to Imperial Age anytime soon, because he's continuing to produce. But he is continuing to produce. I will say again, probably should have just made another barracks. I mean, he has enough wood for it. You know, I guess his wood production is not that high since I killed off all those villagers. He's just got 10 on wood right now. But could have probably made at least one more barracks. One thing he's going to do, I don't know when this is, but other stuff is happening when he does it, so I don't want to forget it. He's going to research anarchy, which that was not a good decision. Anarchy, I think, costs 450 gold. Here, let's look. Alright, anarchy. Oh, 250 gold. 450 wood, 250 gold. And so he's got one guy on gold. And I think he has one relic. Yeah, he's got one relic. So he's going to research anarchy in a little bit. And you don't really have enough gold to go for production of Huskarls anyways. And even if you did, so I'm saying this camel in here just to see what's up. But even if you did, he's just going to die. And then obviously I'm going to see all of the pikemen. So now I know that he's got real pikemen numbers up here. So, yeah. So that only reinforces that So I've got the more archery ranges coming up here. It only further reinforces I really need to, you can see I'm researching chemistry here, I really need to get some hand cannoneers out. But, you know, even if he did have enough gold to produce Huskarls, I'm going Camels, primarily. So they're really not going to be terribly useful to him. But, anyways, so this Huskarl, he's going to do some scouting with him. And he almost makes the right decision, which is if he is going to produce some Huskarls, which he will pretty soon, if he had sent even like 5 or 6 around this way, now, I would have been able to produce stuff to push them back, but this is my only gold now. This gold is gone. I'm taking this gold. I do have the availability of a couple more golds over here, but like if he had sent like 5 or 6 Huskarls over here, I would have had nothing to combat it, at least at the start. So potentially would have been a good idea for him, and I think that that's something that he's putting up another castle here, as you can see, and he's getting more of his upgrades, which good for him, more of his infantry upgrades. But I'm ready to move in. I actually making a mistake here. I should have waited for more crossbows and or hand cannoneers. Instead, I decided, alright, time to move up. I actually am going to underestimate the number of pikemen he's got. So, we move up. We're going to start trebbing this down. I do accidentally pack my trebuchets up for some reason. But I thought that that was enough to destroy it. I was wrong by just a little bit, so I have to unpack them, which is frustrating. But he's sending out the Huskarls first. This is another mistake. So he's only got like 6 Huskarls. First off, I think he should have just raided with them. But he's going to send them out here on their own first, and then have the pikemen follow them up. Should have actually done that the other way. Because all that's going to end up doing is meaning that my camels are going to be very comfortable just diving in on them and taking care of them. Instead, he should have sent the pikemen in first, and then at the very least, my camels wouldn't have been as comfortable diving in. But anyways, this is actually nice by him. You see, he's trying to draw me into his castle fire, which is smart by him. And I am producing hand cannoneers. I should have waited for more of them, but I decided to pack up my trebuchets because I want to move them back so that they're more covered by the castle fire. Because, especially with this support of crossbows and hand cannoneers, you know, I can fight these pikemen. You know, all of this range support between the castle, the hand cannoneers, and the crossbows. I can fight them, particularly when I'm under the castle, but I really need to make sure that I'm there. So we move the trebuchets over there, and they're going to treb down that castle. He's still producing pikemen. You can see he's got 12 queued up in each barracks. Once again, you got enough wood, man. Got like 2,000 wood. Make some more barracks. You can make better use of your resources. So we're trebbing down that castle now, and he's coming out to try and fight it. At this point, I've got enough hand cannoneers. He's having to fight totally underneath the castle, and we're going to mop this up big time, and he gives up right there with the GG. And, I mean, I clearly had a pretty tight hold of the game on this point. You know, I've got the sort of Indian death ball composition, which is really a tough composition to fight with the hand cannoneers and the camels. I don't think I researched it yet, but pretty soon I'm going to be able to research their special tech, their unique tech, in order to get, give their hand cannoneers +1 range. He's really, he can't take any gold either, which is an issue for him, of course. But he has enough eco behind, so like if we look at his resources, he's got enough resources to continue producing pikemen out of here. He has more villagers than I do. You know, his population isn't that far behind mine. He's got a lot of eco over here that I don't even know about yet. So he could have pretty easily drug this out farther and tried to get back into it, but he pretty clearly decided that it just wasn't worth it. So props to him, though. He really played better. I think he was a better player than most of what I've faced so far. He lost to me, so I won't say that he's better than the guy who beat me, but I kind of feel like he might have actually been. But regardless, for him, I think the main thing, he should have taken his Huskarls and run around this side and tried to raid me on the back door. I think that, you know, there's a degree to which hindsight is 20/20. He didn't know that I had absolutely nothing over here, but given that, I think that would have been a nice way for him to try and flip the script a little bit. But yeah, so Wouldn't have hurt him to put down a couple more barracks to try and produce out of, but overall, he did produce. He tried to produce. He was producing the right units. And in the end, the main difference was, so he did follow the first main rule that I've said for that I've noticed from newer players that I'm playing against and also myself, of course, which is that, don't stop your production, continue your production. He did do that, but he didn't go with the second one, which is always try to be the aggressor. So just because of the way that the fighting was fairly even for a decent amount there. In fact, he even pushed me back, but because I was the aggressor, all the fighting happened over here. All the fighting happened in his eco, which meant that this is really what the killer is for him. He can't take any gold, and he's still not an Imperial Age while I am. So I'm an Imperial Age, so the difference in strength and army composition is only going to get wider if he had continued to try and fight. So, I mean, it's fair that he tapped out there, but just for what it's worth, I do want to point out that he definitely could have continued to try. Uh, it probably wouldn't have worked. I'm only going to get more hand cannoneers out, and that's going to do really bad things to his pikemen, but whatever. So we'll look at the statistics here. So you can see, um, the KD is pretty one-sided, which is good for me, but he did have the larger army. He collected a little more food, he collected a little more stone, but this right here, the gold collection, that is the difference. I really think that is the difference in the game, and you see that in the KD as well. It's just he did a really good job. Just the units I produced they're way better units. Just objectively speaking, one for one, all of the units I produced were better. I didn't produce. I guess I accidentally produced 2 skirmishers there. If you saw that, but other than that, I didn't produce a single trash unit this whole game. Whereas pretty much all of his units were trash units. So, you know, pikemen are good for countering things, but on the whole, they're just not as good. They don't have the same staying power. So, uh, yeah, but props to him. We'll go through the scores here, so if you want to look at them, you can just pause on the screen to look at it. And that'll be it for this one. My apologies. This was supposed to be up this morning. It's possible you even saw it this morning. But for some reason, it was super choppy, and the frame rate was really bad on the recording. And that was not a YouTube issue. That was just my recording that I didn't realize. So hopefully it is now better. So stay beautiful, everybody, and I will see you next time. We've got another victory. See you next time. Thanks for watching.